Hello, hello, salud. I am the Rasta Witch. Here's where we learn the way of the Yan Sui Rasta, which is to say, my kind of Ital. Please subscribe and begin your own kind of Yan Sui witchcraft. All roads lead to Rome. Home. Perhaps the most misunderstood card in the tarot, along with the Devil card, is this card. Today we will look at the Death card. At Roman numeral 13, we notice that at first glance and become fearful. Then we see the Grim Reaper on the card, and then we know we're fearful. Especially on this card, the Thoth deck. Look, it's a black skeleton Grim Reaper guy cutting his knee in half. Death is something we do not want to think about. In the West, death has been removed from everyday life, seen as a taboo, making it almost invisible. Yet, death is one of life's few certainties. The outdated beliefs of heaven and hell bring no comfort. This is no doubt why we call this an evil card. If people were to spend any real time on the subject, they would no longer believe in heaven and hell. I will leave a link in the description of an expert on the subject. In science, we know things don't die, they change. One day we will all change to dirt, and the spiritual realm echoes the physical. So, reincarnation is a more modern possibility. And if it's real, we have died on many occasions in many past lives. And we will continue to do so until we finally learn what our soul needs to know, incorporating its virtues, ending the cycle. The Yan Sui believe at that point we become angels, no longer needing vessels, and bad karma from bad choices will be non-progressive, taking you back into the animal kingdom and can fade away like a fart. Hitler was probably a fart at one point, the fart of a baboon, burning away in the atmosphere into non-existence, metaphorically speaking. Buddhism asks that we remind ourselves of the inevitability of our passing. It reminds us to live mindfully as we have no way of knowing when death will come. After all, life is not linear, but a spiral. Who we really are is here now, forever. The appearance of this card is traditionally feared in a spread, but it usually does not signify physical death. More often it reminds us that life is changing and that a cycle of experience is coming to a close. The season of winter corresponds, and one day soon it will be summer again. See my video on the Wheel of Fortune card. Life is a wheel. We don't die, we change. I once read a book on my past issues with depression called You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. The entire book was about proving all negativity is rooted in the fear of death. Bob Marley once said, "The real battle of good versus evil today is positive thinking versus negative thinking." Today you hear conventional preachers saying this card and the dance of Kali in India is evil, but really it's just another spot on the wheel of life, like the shedding of the skin of a snake. The corresponding Hebrew character is Nun, meaning fish, but some argue it's a snake. The fish is a symbol of fertility because they multiply so fast. The astrological signature is Scorpio. The creature in the zodiacal wheel is deadly and scary, but sexuality corresponds to Scorpio, especially oral sex. Has society made every aspect of this card taboo? I think of the Day of the Dead in Mexico. It comes once a year and produces some of the coolest art, like on the back of my jacket. This day is a day to remember dead relatives and friends, hopefully in a positive light. Let's look at the chart. The death pathway connects number 6, the self, to number 7, Netzach, our feelings and emotions, the feminine side of our inner polarity. So it connects the self to feelings. Can this be the key to keeping positive about death? That we live with feeling because we are going to die one day? And not doing this is what makes a psychopath after all. Let's look at the cards a bit closer. Okay, here on the Sephiroth deck, we see a bunch of fish up here. Remember, Nun means fish. And we can see a Scorpio down here, the corresponding zodiacal sign. And of course the Grim Reaper and the Roman numeral 13 with the the severed head of his last victim and the pathway of Netzach and Tiferet. Now we can look at the Thoth deck. We've got, like I said, the black for death, skeleton chopping his own leg off. And there's the fish over there biting a snake for Nun. And down there you got the Scorpio. Here's the Lord of the Rings one. It says, Gandalf confronts Belrog. His name's not Belrog, he is a Belrog. Gandalf confronts the Belrog. Gandalf loses his life, but is to be reborn. Remember that part of the movie? It's how, do I remember right, Fellowship of the Ring ends? He battles Belrog, none shall pass here, and bangs his staff down, and then they both go tumbling down into the pit and they die, and then everybody runs out and at the end of the cave and goes outside and starts crying and mourning his death. And then the next movie starts and he's no longer Gandalf the Grey. Now he's all dressed in white and he's Gandalf the White. And you realize that death didn't, death just changed him and changed him for the better. It is perhaps impossible to think of death as a soul friend. But remember that your body undergoes a continuous process of death and rebirth through cell and tissue renewal. Death is a living reality. It's a positive card, most likely, indicating a brand new way of life, new opportunities, new possibilities. When one door closes, another is opened. A stage in your life is coming to an end, and a new cycle will begin. A card of transformation. Also, it can mean to take better care of yourself. Maybe quit cigarettes, they can kill you. Of course, it can mean death, too. But maybe it means to enjoy life more. Have you seen the movie Dead Poets Society? Maybe it means you need to spend more time meditating on death to add depth to your thinking.